Today will be the start of a new series called Overexplained. I want to overexplain what's happening and really give you the thought process of why I'm doing things. Because I hear from you guys a lot that you don't understand why I'm doing things. You kind of see that I do things, but you're kind of like, why would you do that? It makes no sense. So I'm trying to bridge the gap with this series. Let me know if you guys do enjoy it, as it's just something I wanted to experiment with. And if you do, consider subscribing. Trying to hit 25K by the end of the year. With that said, let's get into it. We start the game with some negative privileges. What I'm going to focus on is the deteriorating army. This gives us negative 75% assault ability, as well as some negative morale. So it's the most important one to remove. Now with Byzantium, if we can win one war against the Ottomans, then we're good to go. There's no need for me to guide you any further. To repair the army, we're going to need 100 total dev, at least 20,000 guys, a mill advisor, at least skill 2, and at least 15% morale of armies. If we follow the first two missions here, the Impending Doom, you can see it gives us 10 morale, and this one gives us an additional 5 morale. So these two missions should allow us to negate the negative 15, which would put us at 0. Morale advisor should put us up to 10. For the last 5, we just need a combination of 5% from army tradition and prestige. Since right now, we're sitting about 2.7%, so we just need a little bit more to get us over that final 5%. I think deleting the forts is a pretty good idea because the way we're fighting, we're not actually playing to fight the Ottomans directly. We're playing to block the water with ships. Having forts doesn't really make sense for us. We alternatively could just mothball them, but I don't think that we're really going to need them. So let's start with privileges. I like to sell titles straight away because we don't have the ability to take burger loans because of the reliance on Republic's negative modifier here. But we want to make sure we have a good navy. So by selling titles, we have a bit of cash to work with that. Of course, we're going to seize land to start. And I like to do the monthly admin privilege and mill privilege. We won't have enough crown land to get the diplo privilege, and that's fine. Other than that, I generally just shoot for privileges for equilibrium. So right now you see I only have 36%. I like it to be above 50 just so I can seize land without rebels. I like oversight because it's just 10 and 10, pretty solid. And then if you do supremacy over the crown, that's just another 10 and 10 to all states. So that puts the clergy up to 56%. And then we always like religious diplomats for the diplo rep. For the nobility, I like increased levies for the extra manpower. This also puts us above at 50 equilibrium. Looking at the burgers, we're going to want patronage of the arts. A lot for the prestige, because again, prestige equals morale, and we're going to need that. And then we'll just look back at the equilibrium. It's pretty low, so free enterprise is just another one of those that gives 10 and 10. And for Byzantium specifically, I like this Emperor Force Draft. It's going to let us have a free heavy ship at 50% of the time, which is pretty huge because we have a modifier that makes ships take extra to build. I believe this is Paradox's incentive to stop you from doing the whole block the water strat, even though that's still what we're going to do. And you can see our equilibrium is actually only 44.5, so we couldn't get to the point where we could seize them without rebels because of our negative modifiers we kind of start with. So what I can do is just give it this privilege here. It's not that I really care about what the privilege does, it's just kind of that equilibrium. So that way, if we're above 45 and we summon the diet, we get that 5% automatically, just to help us seize land without rebels. So I recommend once that's all done, we make a save because it's a lot of estates. And I'm playing on normal mode because I'm going to demonstrate a lot of different strategies, but you can do this on Iron Man, of course. So this isn't a guide on how to back up your saves. It's pretty important we start with the Diplo Advisor because we need to ally to the Pope straight away, and this is going to help. We also want a Morale Advisor. Level 2 is fine. Level 1 is also fine. We're going to need a Level 2 Advisor, and it has to be a Morale Advisor. We can fish for the Morale Advisor a little later, but obviously it's going to be a waste of money. So the first thing we're going to do is just send our troops over to get ready to attack Epirus. Let's grab up the free company, and then we want to go ahead and do the draft ships for war. So we can start that one heavy ship. And then we're just going to want to spam out as many galleys as possible beyond that. This is all part of our strategy to fight the Ottomans. We're going to be taking this province and then blocking him from crossing. And we'll get to that a bit later. I like to consolidate my ships here and then just get a admiral. And then we're just going to move our army over and get ready to fight Epirus. Now, in most cases, Epirus won't have an ally, and you could actually consider restarting if he gets an ally before the war begins. Of course, we can't war until December 11th. But in the meantime, we should go for the Papal States Alliance. We're going to want to send an insult to one of the Papal States rivals. As far as whose we should insult, I would recommend the person that we're not going to interact with, so it doesn't really hurt you to send a scornful insult. In this case, Aragon should be fine. Now, you should be able to ally the Pope on the month tick. This is only because we have that advisor, the Diplo rep. So December 11th, we should be ready to declare war. Again, you want to make sure he has no allies. He usually doesn't, but you might get bad luck. If it's not the worst ally to fight, maybe you won't restart, but it's up to you. Obviously, whatever ally he has, even if it's a small one, is going to significantly slow you down. before we send our guys into Epirus, we can just give ruler military command. The logic being there is that our starting ruler isn't very good, so if he dies, that's kind of a win for us. We're going to send our ships out to block the port. We got to make sure we're actually blocking the port in this Gulf of Toronto. So this event here can trigger right when the game starts or within a few months, and it's actually a pretty critical decision. It's going to change your campaign a lot. I want to make a quick save just to kind of show you the two different paths, because I want to show you both styles. So we're going to start by showing you guys the rejected union choice. Notice this will make the Papal States have a negative 125 towards you. This is relevant because we want an alliance with them. So it's important we get the alliance before we click that event. Otherwise, we're not going to get the alliance because we want military access to fight Naples. The reason being is because if we're allied and have military access, we won't get exiled when we fight Naples. But I also should improve relations with the Papal States a bit more because you can see negative 13 isn't really safe. Let's go ahead and do that. And of course, we can grab our mission, and if we're allied to the Papal States, we get an additional bonus. So if we reject the union of churches, we're going to get this huge malice with everybody. With Catholic, negative 75. But we're still going to want some good allies. The best two allies that I know of that aren't Catholic that will ally you would be the Mamluks and Muscovy. You're going to want these alliances just to give you a buffer so the Ottomans don't attack you when you're not ready for it. So we got the Siege of Arta done, and we can go ahead and just finish off their armies. Again, this war is super easy. There's really not much more to explain there. We're going to need to end the war. I like to grab the diplomat from the Mamluks as I think it's the least critical use of our diplomat, because we're not going to get the alliance with the Mamluks straight away. Let's go ahead and grab that diplomat and end that war. And Naples can get released basically anywhere from the start of the game till maybe 15 years into the game. If he happens to get released too early, you may want to consider just reloading or restarting. But generally that won't happen. What we do want to do is send all our guys over to Terracina here, which is just bordered to Naples. We can also grab this mission here, which gives us that other morale bonus. You can see that 5% morale. And I missed this a bit earlier. I actually want to ally to Serbia. The point with Serbia is that you can get some money out of them. So next we're going to be looking at the reinforced Constantinople mission. We're going to need to focus military, which we can do. And then we're going to need to dev up Constantinople to 6 manpower. So we just encourage dev, so we get a little bit extra dev cost, and then we can just dev up twice. And of course, we don't want to collect this mission yet. We want to have 150 relations with Serbia. And Serbia probably will send us a royal marriage while we improve relations. There we go. And if we want to speed up the process, we can just go ahead and insult a rival. So here's the Naples event here. In this case, we're not quite ready for it, so we could consider alt-F4ing or just reloading our game. But we can try to see if we can get in position. I'll show you guys what I mean. We're not quite ready to fight him. We need a couple more guys to do so. So we'll go to the Palace Guard first. And the Palace Guard is kind of nice because it doesn't count towards force limit, because otherwise it would be quite a bit more. We can hire those mercs there, and we can see if we can make this in time. Again, this is the event that will make Naples independent. He starts with no allies, so it's really ideal to fight him immediately. And if we get these events here, we do want to try to get some patriarch authority. I'm going to grab my diplomat from the Papal States that I was using. I'm not going to really need that anymore. Relations are plenty good. I'm going to try to get this other merc group over there. I've waited a few months on this war. So I've got 10,000 guys here, so I should feel comfortable declaring war. He hasn't had any allies yet, and again, if he did get some allies, I might want to consider alt-F4ing or that sort of thing. Or just restarting. We're really only 2 years into the game. It's not really a huge deal. But we can probably make this work. Just go and declare war. One of our stacks is still on the way. That should be fine. We'll just wait for them. Although we know Naples only has 5,000 guys right now. What I like to do is just send my guys straight for his capital. As you can see here, we're sending our last stack over. In the meantime, I want to try to get some money from Serbia. So let's go ahead and insult Albania scornfully. Now that my relations with Serbia are above 150, I can grab this mission. And you can see here that if we have at least 150 opinion, we will maximize our chances to get the max amount of money. This one is kind of RNG though, which can be frustrating. You're just going to get somewhere between like 50 and 250 ducats. You could make a save in Alt F4 if you want. Again, that's totally up to you. And after a month or two, you'll see some money come in. We got the full 250, so we got some luck there. That's helpful because we do need to build more ships in a minute here. We also need another merc group here. Naples will recruit up a bunch of guys. Right now he's at 8,000, but sometimes he can recruit enough to actually fight you. So what I'll generally do is just go ahead and recruit another merc group. So I like to recruit the Hashducks because they're the cheapest merc group, and we're going to need them anyways. The reason being is because we're going to need 20,000 guys to repair the army. So regardless of if we need them against Naples or not, we're just going to have them. So we might as well just be safer in the war. Just going to go ahead and send these guys over here. We also meant to get rid of this advisor earlier. It's kind of a waste of money. I'm just going to go ahead and build galleys on every province here. Just kind of queue them up now that we have that additional money. And we can use this province that we conquered from Epirus to build as well. And prestige is really important because of the way that it's going to affect our morale. So anytime we have good events for prestige, we want to make sure we're getting prestige and not losing it, if possible. Of course, we will be losing some money at this time, and that's okay. Even if we were going into loans at this point, it'd be okay because we're going to win the war with Naples. Now, once we siege Napoli, we're going to want to wait 1 month for the garrison to fill. Then we're just going to want to move over, preferably to where he doesn't have troops, because we don't actually want to fight him. It's just kind of a waste of our manpower. And then what we can do is just kind of carpet siege a little bit. We want to kind of stay together, of course. Looks like my heir falls ill. We'll see if he survives. Okay, all good. So we kind of just want to avoid fighting and go for a bit of a carpet siege. Oftentimes he'll go to try to re-siege his capital, but in this case, he's not because he's too afraid. But either way, we just kind of want to siege out other provinces and avoid fighting. There he goes towards his capital, and that's totally good. We have 93% war score. It would probably be enough to end the war. So first, we just want to make sure we grab max money because we might be in debt at this point. I'm not, but we definitely could be if we didn't get as much money from Serbia. And then we want to grab these provinces here, so everything except these three. Right now, we won't do that deal, so we'll just have to siege out a little bit more. I think we should be good now. So we'll go ahead and end that. You notice that there's not going to be a significant coalition, so that should be okay. If we did have enough Patriarch authority, we could get the icon. It's not super important, just something to consider. I also could be improving with Athens because we do want to annex him eventually. But again, not anything worth stressing over. So we'll just go ahead and send that off for now that he's willing to accept it. Now we're going to want to core our provinces before we accept the mission we completed. So I'm going to go ahead and lower my war exhaustion so I can pay for my cores a little bit cheaper. Then we'll hit core all. We're not able to core everything, which is okay. We do want to try to core all before we accept the mission, though, because it's going to give us more development in a couple provinces, as well as change the culture. But as long as we core those provinces or start those cores, we should be okay. It's also going to give us a admiral. Let's go ahead and grab that mission. We get a little bit of income as well. Nothing significant because it's based on our trade, which right now we don't have. So now we should be able to grab this level 2 advisor, level 2 morale, and we should meet the requirements to repair the army. Again, that's the total development, the army 20,000 or larger, level 2 advisor, and 15% morale. And again, you can see it's important that we have a combination of prestige and army tradition here. That's leading us to have 6.9. And then there is the advisor and the 2 missions that give us the rest of the morale we need. Just go ahead and grab that. And that's the important one because now we can assault. And of course, we just have better morale, which is going to be helpful. Let's go ahead and state up these provinces here. I'm going to go ahead and just full state everything. We're going to corp everything when we can in a minute. Want to make sure we get rid of this advisor straight away, though, because we cannot afford to be paying that much. Now that the war is over, we should look to ally to Muscovy, which we should be able to in most cases, because we've been improving relations to max. That's just going to provide us a buffer against the Ottomans. The Ottomans are more likely to declare war on other people. This just kind of cements that. Now we can get rid of some of these mercenaries because we can't really afford them. We're going to get rid of the Palace Guard and the Hajduks. And then we're just going to want to hang out for a bit and get ready to fight some rebels. We got this event camping into Thessaly, and we have to choose between either getting a permanent mil a month, or alternatively, we can lose 150 mil points, gain that 1 mil a month anyways, convert our heir to a general, and that gives us some siege ability, and it might cause the Ottomans to lose defensiveness. Now, generally, I like the bottom option because I don't want to slow down my progress to hitting mil 4, but I think since we're blocking the water, we could actually give this a try. Honestly, it doesn't matter which option you pick that much, to make that clear, but we're going to go ahead and just try this top option. Again, I don't really love losing the 150 mil, but I can see the extra siege ability being kind of useful. But again, not a major turning point of your campaign. I'm going to improve with the Mamluks again. Now, one thing I forgot to mention that is important is we want to cause separatists from Bulgaria. And we start the game not being able to decrease autonomy because we have 0 autonomy. It actually increased our autonomy enough that we can lower autonomy to upset these guys. So it is actually important that you have a low crown land. You can see here, I'm going to just kind of upset these guys here, and then they're going to be wanting to revolt. I should have done this earlier. It's a bit of a mistake. But again, not going to be the end of the world. I would have preferred to do that before the Naples War, but it just kind of slipped my mind. And for this event here, we're going to go ahead and try to get the 100 ducats. In my experience, it is a 1 in 4 chance, roughly speaking, that you get the 100 ducats. If you want to be a tryhard, you could scum save for it. I'm not going to do that, but again, it's up to you guys. So here we got the option where they don't pay us the money. We can set threatened to the Ottomans. That might help us get our alliance with Mamluks. We probably could scornfully insult the Ottomans as well. It's also not a bad idea to try to get an alliance with Austria. Even though we did the church thing, it should be okay. Eventually, we'll be able to get that alliance. It'll just take an additional amount of time. And we can just go ahead and pick the rebels for the Ottomans. It doesn't really matter. Let's get rid of that advisor. So right now, we're just looking at the rebels. They're most likely going to appear in Italy. And you can see here, we got the Crimea event. This one's just RNG, but you can kind of keep an eye on it to know if Crimea is going to be under the Ottomans or not. In my case, he won't be. So let's get our first group of rebels dealt with. I'm going to pop up over here in Italy. Should be able to handle them no problem. Obviously, we took quite a bit of losses there, but shouldn't be a big deal. Need to finish coring up everything. You can see here we're going to get more rebels in Naples in a moment. So we don't want to go anywhere with our troops. We got some additional patriarch authority here. That's good. Once we have 10%, we can go for the improved relations and AE impact. Although I would recommend not completing this mission at this time, because this is going to double your icon. And you want to save this because it gives you an additional improved relations and AE mod. You might as well use that when you're taking a big bit of land in Europe or something of that nature. So we just click that away for now. So we have the option to seize land. And what I like to do is just try to split up a little bit and hope that the boys don't show up over here. And the Ottomans have chosen to fight Albania, which isn't ideal for us because we'd rather that we fought him first. We can't really control that RNG of who he attacks. I do want to seize land since it's available. Now I've kind of split up my guys the best I can. I'm hoping they don't spawn over here, but it's always a possibility. Okay, they spawned over here, so that's good for me. And I just want to send my guys back to Italy. Still haven't dealt with the rebels there yet. They're at 60%. My leader died, which is a good thing as far as points go, but it does hurt my stab, of course. And we do get a little malice for stab cost penalty. Can set some rivals. So we want to make sure we save one slot for the Ottomans, because oftentimes we can rival the Ottomans in a bit. Other than that, I just like to try to rival people I will actually be fighting in the future. So maybe a Venice and a Tunis would make sense. Perhaps even a Naples, but we probably can't fight Naples again, depending on who he allies. We want to go ahead and full state the provinces that are coring up here. The reason being is because once we core them up, we're considered a stronger nation, and that will help us get an alliance with the Mamluks, or even Hungary. We've got the Naples rebels popping up, but of course we were in position for them, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Now that that's done, we can go ahead and move over to Constantinople and kind of prepare to fight the Ottomans in the future. We're going to get this scripted stab drop. It's just part of how the game works at this point. So eventually we'll want to get our stab back. At the moment, we can't afford it. That's okay. I would prioritize stating up the provinces first. Got some good luck here with a talented and ambitious daughter. Of course, we would take that. And more of our ships have recruited up, so we can just kind of grab those together. At this point, we have quite a large navy, so it's looking pretty solid. You can see here we have the rebels getting ready to go. I want to make sure these rebels don't pop. So if we had a harsh street, we would. But for now, we're just going to leave them. The idea here is that we want the Ottomans to do a war where they cross over the water. Because obviously, if we block the water now, it would be pointless. They're already on our side of the water fighting a war. We'll try to set friendly with the Mamluks. See if that can be helpful. Those the Mamluks can be a little bit difficult to get. Maybe Mil 4 will help us with that. Let's grab that Mil 4. Austria decked on Venice, so I imagine that war is not going to be going too well for them for much further. So that won't be going well for them for much longer. Even Milan's going after Venice. Let's get our stat back to 0. We can rival the Ottomans now, as I mentioned before. We wanted to keep that slot open. This should be helpful for getting an alliance with the Mamluks. So I'm going to go ahead and grant the integration policy now. We're going to be annexing Athens here. This won't cost anything, and it'll obviously give us more ships, is what we want. That's the main part of it. So now you can see we have 31 ships. This is going to be plenty to fight the Ottomans. We also get some prestige and diplo points, and we get a mission here. This will give us some support for the Renaissance. You can see here we have 93%. We can actually dev that up a bit if we want to, just so we can actually get the Renaissance. But I'm not going to worry about that. You guys can do that if you'd like, though. So the Ottomans won that war. You can see they took quite a bit of land. That's not ideal for us, but also it's not that big of an issue. So I'm just kind of waiting for the Ottomans to do a different war. And again, RNG is going to be a little bit different in every campaign. You can see here the Ottomans are kind of leaving, which means they're probably going to go to war with another nation here. So I can get ready for that assault and grab the palace card once again because they don't count towards our force limit. And we're going to send our guys over here and just get ready to go to war with the Ottomans. And you can see the Ottomans are attacking Karaman, which doesn't give us a lot of leeway, but we should be good. So what we're going to want to do is provoke the rebels here, full Bulgaria, and just get ready to go to war with the Ottomans. And we should be good to declare war on the Ottomans. We're going to do a reconquest for Galabolu, which is the province here that we're going to be barrage assaulting. So we might as well make it the war goal because we're going to grab it first. We also want to use this better admiral we got from mission. And the mission was the Naples mission here. Gives you a 60 tradition admiral. Let's just go ahead and declare that reconquest. You can see we're fighting his navy there. And we might as well go after his navy. So what we're going to do is first we're going to send a barrage assault here. And we're going to want to shift consolidate. So every few months you just go ahead and shift consolidate regiments. That'll just make us more likely to win the assault. Whenever we're at war with the Ottomans for the first time, we're going to get this event. I just like to grab the stab because we're not going to use these other two modifiers. We won't be actually fighting. I'm actually going to go after the Ottomans navy because I don't want them transporting any troops or anything like that. You can see here we're crushing his navy. Captured some ships. We're just going to keep an eye on those ships, make sure he doesn't try to transport anything over. You can see here he's attempting to cross the water, but he's not going to be able to as our ships are blocking. And during that battle, I could have left one ship behind just in case so that he couldn't cross. It was a little bit risky of me to do that, but didn't end up causing any problems. And then from here, I can go and just turn off my maintenance. And one thing I recommend to you guys, sometimes Poland will give access to the Ottomans. I could try to simulate that in this save for you guys, just to give you guys an example. Ottomans. So yeah, in my case, they actually do like the Ottomans. We're just going to go ahead and turn on Fog of War to show you what that might look like. Usually Poland and the Ottomans aren't friends like this, but I want to show you guys what you can do if they are, because the Ottomans are going to get military access around. So what we want to do actually is kind of bait them. Obviously, I'm using Fog of War to demonstrate this, which you wouldn't have access to normally. So a little trick you can do is split up your navy into two. You even can grab the original admiral and put him there. We're going to go to mission settings, which some of you probably don't ever use, and to be fair, I rarely use it. We're going to return the repair threshold to never and the aggression to bold. We're just going to move over to the Gulf of Varna and then select start patrolling. Now we're going to wait for these ships to get here, and we're going to do the same thing with our second fleet. So mission settings, never repair, bold. Then we're going to start patrolling. This is going to bait the Ottomans into thinking they can cross the water, because essentially they're, theoretically can cross the water here. You can see. Again, I'm using cheats to demonstrate this to show you guys, the vision. But the idea is that basically as the ships go back and forth, there's going to be like a few days of time where they technically could cross. And so the AI is going to think that's the best path. And that way they're not going to go around and get military access otherwise. This trick's only necessary if Poland has a positive opinion. So you can just go into show opinions, type the Ottomans, and see if they like the Ottomans. And that will give you a hint there. We got this event here. Byzantium merchants evade taxes. And this is one of those bad privileges that you have. And if you don't click the event, you're going to have to otherwise get rid of it later. But it's not that difficult to do that later. I prefer to just take the money now, and then I'll get rid of the privilege later. But it could be an option if you want to lose money and go for that option. But early game, we don't really have a lot of money, so I would probably just recommend cracking down on the practice, getting some extra ducats. So we're just going to play in 5 seed for a moment, to kind of show you what these troops are going to look to do. Kind of see they're just going to run back and forth over and over here. Kind of confused on why they can't quite figure out how to cross the water. Looks like Fazan is snuck over here as well, which means I probably need to get some mercs at home. Usually this doesn't happen, but it's not really going to be a big deal. We probably get rid of some mercs though, because we're going to be bleeding a lot of money. We don't really need a ton of mercs. I need a little bit to siege a fort. We'll keep the free company, but I'm going to get rid of the palace guard. Again, the patrol thing is definitely not necessary unless you get a weird scenario where Poland gives access. I'm going to deal with these guys here, and then we can kind of just auto-siege this area. And I'm going to turn back off the army. It's fine if we're losing some money. It's not going to be a huge deal. We want to keep an eye on the first province the rebels went for, though. We can do that by selecting province history. And we can see here they started occupying in 1456. I actually think it might have been this one. I'm going to check to see if that one's sooner. Okay, 1455. So we know that the rebels are going to affect exactly 5 years. So we need to plan on fighting Bulgaria in 1460. Make sure you don't call in any allies to the war. You can see here I could, but I don't really want to. And if I could have got my alliance with the Mamluks, I would have gone for that, but I couldn't. So it's not a huge problem. It's just, it is what it is. We can grab our tier 2 privilege here. Not that it's super important, just might as well grab ability to make client states because, why not? I'll get rid of the extra mercs here. Get a higher. We are going to start going into some debt. That's totally fine to go into debt as well. I would expect to go in some debt. So the Bulgarian rebels got killed finally. That's totally fine. Defection is a year away based on this province here. Again, this boat thing isn't that important to do. It's just a solution to a problem that I think some people might experience. I got my rebels close to enforcing demands, so I actually need to get my province sorted out. I could lower my war exhaustion here. Not a problem there. But yeah, I probably want to deal with the rebels. We'll turn on our army and kind of sort that out. Of course, I don't want these rebels to actually enforce demands, but they won't for 11 months, and I should have this siege done by then, you would hope. So that siege is done. Let's just go deal with those rebels now. So these rebels are about to defect. We know that's going to happen in November. We're just going to hang out and get ready for that. So we're just going to wait for the defection to happen, and then we're going to declare war with those guys. We also have some rebels back home, which is quite inconvenient. Probably should have tried to harsh treat those guys. But what we can do is, I guess we could probably take a healthy amount of loans and get some mercs to deal with that. Again, definitely should just harsh treated. But unfortunately, I'm forgetful when it comes to that. But we'll just get a bunch of it. We got 3 merc groups up to try to sort that out because it is 11,000 guys. Probably went a little overboard with the mercs, but, better to be safe than sorry. So let's just go handle those rebels. Bulgaria's released. Want to make sure to declare war with him instantly. Other people are going to realize that there's free land as well. And we're going to carpet siege out Bulgaria. And of course, to do that, we're just hiding our guys and holding S over and over just to demonstrate this, so I'm not missing anything. So we just select S, You can see we're free. I like to hit Control 1. This makes a control group, so when I if I separate them, I can grab them back with just hitting 1. But anyhow, we're just going to go click a province and hit escape. And this just unselects 1, and then we're going to repeat that. So right click, escape, over and over. You can see that we're going to be able to get a unit to every province. And we're just still going through the rebels here. And then we can get rid of some extra mercs here just to lose a bit less money. So we're going to go ahead and grab full annexation with Bulgaria. Obviously, that wasn't a challenging war. There was no troops to fight, anything like that. Let's go ahead and grab that. I'm not going to be able to core the provinces, though, until after the war, because they belong to Ottomans as well. And again, just to demonstrate, if we hit 1, we go and grab all our units and just reconsolidate very easily. It's not a big deal. It's just something I thought I would show off. We can otherwise just kind of finish carpet sieging some of these provinces over here. Get rid of these mercs. Alliance breaking with Serbia. That's a good thing for us. We actually want to kill Serbia in the future, so I don't mind that at all. And we can turn our army back off. So Serbia broke alliance with us. All fine with me. Want to peace out some other people in the war as soon as we can. That'll just help with war score. So we can be patient and just hang out more or less. We got 69 war score and his enthusiasm's low. It's probably the best we're going to get. Normally, the whole Albania-Venice war won't happen, and these extra provinces that he got here wouldn't be the case. So normally you would just be looking at wanting to take your cores back, because of course he wouldn't own any of this, and then take a bit of money. And we could even come back and get these provinces at a later date. So we got 542 ducats and our cores back. We checked the coalition map mode if we're worried, but of course, shouldn't be a worry. So we should be able to core up those Bulgarian provinces, not a problem. And we got a couple missions done. And from here, you're in a really strong spot. So I feel like if you guys can get to this point, majority of you should be able to kind of figure out your next steps. Of course, it's going to be a lot different in your campaign, but some good options would be attacking Serbia, Bosnia, attacking the Ottomans again later, maybe going into Italy. Just kind of depends what you want to do. Even Tunis is an option, as we do have claims, of course. That's going to be it for this video. Let me know if you guys would be interested in an alternate way to play Byzantium, where we instead side with the Catholics, which allows us the inheritance as well as an Austrian-Hungary alliance. And instead of going for a cheesy defect, we just fight the Ottomans with the help of Austria-Hungary, plus using our mission tree to get double icon bonuses for discipline. So let me know if that's something you guys might want to see. Anyhow, we'll catch you in the next one.